Good thing I'm recording 2 sections of the same class. So when this is the second time I've accidentally deleted the video because the video things have crashed and I'm trying to manage stuff. I don't know. All I know is maybe that if they had the computers working properly here, I wouldn't panic and delete stuff. Let's see if it's actually, so if I go to videos, yeah, there should be a 511 section 2. Right? 5.1, 5.2, 5.4. Table files, static home page. Yeah, should be another files. Well, okay. Yay. So what we're going to do today is complain about how the computers aren't working properly and then accidentally delete stuff because things crash and whatnot. So we last time created a static home page with multiple loops. Hopefully everybody was able to watch that video before I just deleted it for section 2. Yeah. So, yeah. So what we are going to do now is just like we on the home page customized secondary loop here to pull the latest blog postings. We aren't going to write a secondary loop today, but this is where what we are going to do is prototype demo. So currently we should have a blog page that looks somewhat like this, meaning we have 2 postings in there, or however many you have put in there. And currently it shows us the name of the posting with a link to the posting. It shows us the byline. At least that's what I call a byline. I'm not sure the actual definition of a byline, but I make stuff up. And I think I'm sort of right when I say a byline is posted on the date, maybe by the author and in a category, right? What would you call that line?
So there is.
So it might be a date line.
Well, the byline is also the line in the newspaper naming the writer of an article, but I do believe that if it's just the date, it's the date.
Okay, I'll go with that. Right, right. Okay. Well, whatever you guys want to call it, that thingy line that has some stuff in it, right? And then we are pulling currently the full article text, right? Which is relatively inefficient when you are creating a feed of postings. So instead, what is more efficient for your feed of postings then is to have the title, the date line, and byline, see author name there, right? And then an excerpt of the article, right? As well, a featured image for the article that will help a reader in terms of usability, right? So if we go to any I don't know, let's be really daring and go to time.com. Yeah. And when they are doing a feed of articles, again, what they typically, I close that, there we go. The typical pieces of the feed then are an image, a title that links to the article, and then an excerpt, and sometimes a date byline, whatever you want to call it. But this then is a little bit better of a design than having the full text there, right? So how many of you have ever seen a blog feed where each article has a really big, long thing of text, and like you read half of it and then you go to the article to read the rest of it, and it's just really not very usable, okay? So instead of making a secondary loop, right, this is where then, why did we for instance, make different pages for, let's say, single page, index, front page, etc. In other words, the pages currently that have a loop in them, right, or the page templates, I should say, that contain a loop in them are front page, index, page, and single. So again, front page is the template page that we use for our front page of the website, right, or our home page, if we have a static home page. Index then is the template page that we are using as our blog feed page, or at least that's the file that then WordPress says, great, we're going to go look at your blog feed page. We're going to use index.php as the template. And then the other two, if you crash on me, I am going to kick your ass, Dreamweaver. Okay, Lisa. We talked about me swearing less in class, right? But this kind of thing is why I swear in class, right?
Yes.
Yes. So the other two template pages are page.php for our pages that are in our normal information architecture, and then single that are, so if we go back to the demo, if I go to portfolio, it is a typical page in my information architecture. If I then go to a single posting, this is the template page that runs for a single posting. So why we did that, and we sort of explored why we did that, is so that, for instance, when we got to single, that's where we made some edits to this loop, right? So basically why we separated things into those different template files is we want to be able to customize this loop then for different use cases, meaning we're going to have one customized loop for the home page, one customized loop for our blog feed, one customized loop for our single postings, and another customized loop for our regular pages. Now, just like we did, we talked about we can use a separate separate file for our header and sidebar. So Anthony, remember when we were talking about header dash and naming it whatever we were naming it?
Yes.
Okay. We can do the same thing with page dash and whatever, and then use that. We're not going to get too much into that at all in this quarter, but let me just show you what exactly I'm talking about. So if I then log in here, and I go to pages, and let's say I chose to edit a page. There should be a spot right here that doesn't look to be showing up. Let's go to I don't know if you've heard of this website, premiumdw.com. But if we go to pages and we go to any one of our pages, there is a spot in here that if we have made a separate template that we want to use, or a custom template, we can then have our pages use a custom template of our choosing that we have named like that. Okay, that's all I wanted to point out. But on our then, let's just go back here. On our blog feed, then, what we want to do is we want to make things look a little bit more like this, where we have a title, we have a featured image, we have an excerpt, we have a full story link posted in. So if we then go to today's lecture size, creating a custom post feed with featured image in WordPress. So if you have not done it already, assign your blog feed to a page. Let me get my notes up and running for today's. We're getting near the end here, you guys. So if you have not done it already, which you should have done on the last exercise when we did the homepage, then you want to assign your blog feed to a page that you have set up. And we have previously created a page called blog that we have then set a static page as our home page and post page being blog. Then what you would see is if we went to, let's go to index.php, right? So again, on the index.php, right, is we have our standard loop in here, which in the standard loop, again, if have posts, wow, have posts, the post, put things in an article tag. I always like to have an ID, right, of anything I'm doing like this in case that I need to call out like Lily, right? You had that one navigation item that you wanted to be orange, right? And you were able to then because each navigation came in with an ID number, you could just call that one list item by its ID number, right? And then make that one thing orange, okay? Similar concept, we have to set it up ourselves, but a similar concept, we then can assign the ID number to anything, anywhere within our site. So for instance, if we go to the demo for this class, right? And if I inspect these two things, then you can see that sometimes I'll name things a little bit differently. But if I hover over this one, right, whatever beginning ID I've wanted to give it, and then the number, whatever beginning ID I've wanted to give it, and then the number. So currently, in the one that we've got going on, I have it named article dash, and then the WordPress will write the ID in there, and then class of article. So if we look at the one that we are doing currently, it should say article ID, article dash 62, article dash 54, dash 17, etc. So if you ever need to give something its own little special style, this is a convention that I've just picked up over the years that I typically do on those articles, right, or things like that. Currently, then, we have an H2 that has a link, permalink, the title, a byline, date line, whatever you want to call it, posted on, the time, or the author in there, posted by the author on the date in the category. And then currently, we have this function, the content, right? So the content then is the function that if I go to one of these single postings, right? So now I'm on single.php, or I'm using single.php as the template file. This is where the content function is pulling all of this text, okay? But if I wanted a design that looked more like this, I could do one of two things. I could say on the content here, I could use that more link thing that we talked about beforehand that I said don't use, right? I could also, if I wanted to, just use good old fundamental PHP. And use the substring function to just get a limited piece of text, in other words, get the first 150 characters of the content and then do a more length. However, one of the things that we will be reading down the road is, and implementing, is the search engine optimization in WordPress without a plugin, where I talk about using the excerpt field. Okay, so the excerpt field then, if we look here at our posting, should be located just under the content on postings only. Okay, so if you go looking for them on pages right now, meaning if I go to pages, currently, pages don't have the excerpt field enabled by default, which I think is really, really stupid, personally, right? So remember, the subtitle of this class is what about WordPress irritates Mike, right? That is one of the things. Like, why don't they have excerpts turned on for pages? Because basically then what you can do for a page like, well, let's just go to this one. You can turn the excerpt field on, right? And excerpts then are optional handcrafted summaries of your content that can be used in your theme. So, handcrafted summaries of your page, where might that be useful? Okay, be more specific. You're correct in terms of search engine optimization, but be more specific. Right, and where would you put that? You see what I'm saying? Correct. So, if then I come to all my classes. Just so if then I view page source, I can take that handcrafted summary of the page and populate the meta name description field. Okay, so how I've done that is whoops, not page.php, header.php. I don't even need the strip tags there, but I'm using the get the excerpt function. Okay, so there are two functions to get the excerpt. One, get the excerpt. Two, the excerpt. Okay, now, what's the difference, you might be asking? Well, if we use the excerpt, it is going to put it in a p tag for us. Okay, if we use get the excerpt, we also have to use an echo function with it, and it will not put it in a p tag. Welcome to WordPress. In other words, why does it do it that way, Mike? That's the way WordPress set it up, is my answer, right? So for now, we are going to then, instead of the content here, right, again, we're on index, okay? So let's kind of go, let me go back to my notes here real quick. So we then are going to use the excerpt function, okay? So if we go to the excerpt, right, displays the post excerpt. I don't like the new developer.wordpress. Again, stuff you've been hearing me say it used to go to codex.wordpress, and now they're forwarding a lot of stuff to developer. Well, let's just say it like this. If we then in here, instead of the content, we change it to the excerpt. How do I spell it? EXCERPT, right? This right here. That's why I swear in class. Right there. See that? Not responding. Because it's actually responding. Dwayne, what? I mean, right? Right? Huh? Yeah. Or we could just do our best to get through. Yeah. So now, if I go visit the blog, here's what's happened. Because we have put the excerpt function in there now, it is attempting to use the excerpt field for each single posting. However, currently, it's not finding anything in the field. So therefore, it is going to pull the first, I can't remember how many characters of the content to use, and then it's going to give us this little thing right there. Okay? So instead, so if we then, so Morris, blah, blah, blah. So now if I say, excerpt goes here. So now if there's something in there, we update that. Now it's finding something. Okay. However, that's not really, how you say, a good enough amount of text or whatever. So I am going to, let's see, just use the first however many characters. Now, the excerpt field also allows HTML by default. Okay, so if you're looking for, in other words, I just copied and pasted stuff that had the bold tag on it, and notice that it's not bolded here. Okay, so this field doesn't allow HTML. You can get a plugin to turn it on, but you basically don't need HTML in that field. Okay, let's just say it like that. But now that I've put content in the excerpt field, and I refresh the blog feed, okay, so there's the I just did this one, okay? So that's how you basically use excerpts for your blog feed, right? How many of you have taken the Writing for the Web class? Anybody in here? Okay, so remember that when in the Writing for the Web class, did I make you guys do meta descriptions in the class that you were in? Yeah? Okay, so basically, that is a good place then to, for instance, here's how it can work. So if I Google responsive website grid, who's that jerk? Right? I mean, come on.
Yes.
That's impressive. I Google responsive website grid, and I'm on page 1. Come on, clap, dude.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. So this is where then it is finding this bit of text, right, out of the meta description, right? So what I've tried to do for all of my excerpts is then try to write something very search engine optimized with keywords like convert, 960, grid, website, layout, responsive, design, JavaScript, CSS, etc. So that piece of text, so those of you that took the Writing for the Web class, the reusable chunks of information like we were talking about, right? So how that reusable chunk of information can be reused is, 1, in the meta tag, 2, as the excerpt here in the feed, right? 3, let's say you want to feature this bit into another page, right? You can then pull the excerpt of that ID, right? Meaning the ID of that posting for whatever posting, right? So it is that handcrafted summary that you can reuse. Make sense? Okay. We are not going to put the excerpt field in our meta description tags just yet. We will do that when we get to the search engine optimization lecture. But for now, again, what I want you guys to do in the assignment is to, on your blog feed posting, to use the excerpt. Okay. As well, what is a typical blog feed function, block, whatever? How does it typically function? Again, title, that links, we've got that. Excerpt, full story link, right? So if I want a full story link, how might I do this? See if you guys can Well, I'm going to look for the characters for the chevron. What is the chevron character? Let's just do this. And BSP and chevron. Come on, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies. No whammies. No whammies. Backward chevron. There. How am I going to link that full story link to the blog posting? Yes. So this is where now, because we've used the excerpt, both of these are in their own p tags because the excerpt came with p tags, and I put that full story link inside of a paragraph tag. Okay? So let's say I didn't want these to be in separate p tags. I wanted the full story link to be up on that line. Okay? This is where the new way that I'm doing this now, and you can choose to do it whichever way you want to, is if I say get the excerpt, and I look that function up. Did you hit your knee? You okay? So when the excerpt is called, this implies that the autogen excerpts are put into p tags. Get the excerpt does not use p tags. Okay. As well, get the excerpt typically wants, so here's another way that you can do, character links. But get the excerpt also, let's see if it'll work. Okay, so if I don't put an echo statement here or an echo function, then doesn't work, right? So the new methodology that I've been using previous to this lecture, or post writing up this lecture, is that I've started to write things out like this. So that this full story link is inside the paragraph tag for the excerpt. So if I do that, now that full story link is inside that paragraph. So this is where when I did it previously here, I don't need to use that strip tags, because what I was doing was trying to strip out the p tags that the excerpt function puts there, right? So you'd think I'd go and remove that, but because it's not doing any harm, in other words, it's stripping out tags that aren't even there in the first place. So basically it's doing nothing. But one of these days I should go and pull it out of there. I've been slowly but surely. You know, how many of you have a lot of old code that you cringe about and you say to yourself, I can't believe I wrote it that way, right? Do you spend your whole life going back through all of your old code and updating it? Right, neither do I. It's my justification. But anyhow, now we have an excerpt with a full story link. The last thing that we might want to use then, so in this lecture, right, using the excerpt, if you have not done, so here's a link to that search engine optimization. So if you have not done so already, you might want to use posted on the time, right? The author, the category. And again, I didn't use, let's say it like this. If you have multiple categories, what you would want to do is use this syntax, okay? Where if you have multiple categories, like if you have a blog posting assigned to separate multiple categories, this will put a comma between those categories, right? So that's one of the arguments that, yes, basically that's one of the arguments that they've set up in that function. The separator, okay? So if you want things with a space, if you want things with a comma, whatever you want, okay? And again, if you don't have any of these, right, it'll just grab the first one, okay? But parents, post ID, those are the arguments. Separator, parents, post ID, the arguments that it takes. And then you just put in whatever value. Okay. The next thing, the last thing that we want to do then is, I don't even know if we have to do this anymore, this add theme support, post thumbnails. Let's see. Yep, it looks like we still have to. So let's do that. Although I'm not, let's see, because we've already used featured images, haven't we? You guys like that I ask questions of myself that I have to go answer? Because I can't remember what's going on from day to day, Michael? It's great, isn't it? So if I then go to the single posting, yep, no featured image. Again, why is that just not enabled by default? I don't know. Well, whatever. Let's go then to our functions file. And we've registered our nav menus. And we can then say add support for featured images. Add support for featured images. Add underscore theme underscore support, spelled correctly. The argument that we want to use. What we want to support then is post thumbnails. So the term post thumbnails is what a featured image is. So if you hear the term post thumbnails and featured images or featured image, they're 99.99% synonymous. Okay. So now that I've added theme support for post thumbnails, if I refresh this, there should be that featured images box that shows up there. True? Let's see. Hooray! Thank you. Thank you. All you guys that didn't laugh at that, you're cruel and mean. Cruel and mean, Trang. Okay. So what I can do here then is set a featured image for this posting. Okay. So again, what is a featured image? Well, if you want any kind of image to represent everything about this page or posting, right? Much like the excerpt is a handcrafted written summary, the featured image is a photographic summary, or can potentially act as a photographic summary of this page or this posting. For instance, if then I want to have one image that represents this posting, right, in terms of what I'm talking about, search engine optimization in WordPress without a plugin. So I've chosen the image that then has a shot of the Google search, right? So that then is a photographic summary of what the article is potentially about, right? So when you guys are, again, let's go to now, I don't know, CNN, sound good? Kristen just showed up, everybody. She just walked in and hoped that I would not notice her. So if then you're looking at any kind of a feed, right, this photographic image is trying to then sum up, right, or is a visual representation along with the title, right? So again, for usability's sake, right, just a title by itself might not give you all of the information that you're looking for, all the meta information that you're looking for, in order to feel confident that if I click on that headline and waste that second and a half actually going to that article, I might not get that second and a half back if I'm wrong, right? Which will really be annoying. So therefore, I've just gotten the habit that on my blog feeds, I use then some kind of a featured image to give me that visual representation. Okay, so in my lecture, I have here then basically, I don't know how else to say it. I'll just open it up. I have created a dummy image for you guys to use if you guys want to use it, or you're welcome to use whatever you want. Okay, but if I save link as, download my featured image, see where it goes. If I went to the downloads folder, downloads, featured image, right? Then what I can do is go to the dashboard, go to my media library. I have this graduation in my media library, but if I wanted to then add the featured image, right? I could also just upload it through the page or posting as well, right? But I'm going to upload it just through here. Featured image, open. Okay. So if I want to edit this now, I don't need really any caption or text, right? We'll just leave it alone like that. So now if I visit site and I go to blog and I go to this blog posting, I'm going to close some of these other windows, tabs.
Why do you like that?
Oh, I love tabs, I know. But it kind of starts to get on my nerves too with all these open tabs. So if I go to now this, I'm in the content or on this single posting, and I edit this, and now I have the featured image, right? If I click on set featured image, I can choose from my media library that featured image. And if I set this featured image, okay, and I update and save, and I view posting, hey, nothing happened. Okay. So this is where then, if I want to use this featured image, okay, I can use this featured image in two different ways. Well, no, that's not true. I can use this featured image in a variety of arrays, right? I know, that was really bad, Mike, thanks. So I can use this featured image in a variety of ways. So I'm going to show you two ways of using it right now. So if I go back to then the index page, right, this is where what I might want to do is let's see, how did I put it before? Yeah, so it's outside of the page. So if I right here then say, the post thumbnail, right? I then can call again. So this is where the post thumbnail and featured image are synonymous. Okay. And if I look up the post thumbnail, which I don't even think I need to copy stuff, I should just get used to going back to my lecture, and instead of doing a Google search, actually show you that I do have this linked on the assignment page. So if we go to the post thumbnail function, right? This is where we can set the size that we want to pull, right? So the sizes that we currently can pull are, again, if we go to settings, media, currently we have set a thumbnail, a medium, and a large size. Okay? So therefore, those are the sizes currently, plus the original full-size image, that I can choose to then use in my theme. Or, yeah, in my theme. So if I then say the post thumbnail size thumbnail, and I visit site now, there's my featured image. Yeah. However, that featured image does not have a link associated with it. Let's go back to my GitHub and see a couple of use case scenarios. So if I go to index.php, let's see what I'm doing here. Oh, yep, I did put it in an A tag like that. So let's do that. What am I going to use here, Anthony? Permalink.
Yes.
Somebody is catching on. The permalink.
On the GitHub side, you had a relation rel equals bookmark.
Uh-huh.
What was the functionality behind that?
That is some legacy stuff that probably has landed in my code from way back when that I don't really know.
Something for me to Google.
Something from those way back, I'm learning copying and pasting, and I shouldn't be copying and pasting stuff days. You know what I'm talking about now, Leah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I used to do it too, you guys. And yeah, so it takes one to know one. But the title attribute, yeah. That's a good. I don't use the bookmark thing any longer. And again, should I go back and clean up all my code? Probably. Right. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So, but basically, yeah, I'm putting it in an A tag, and then here is where I am also. You can use this function, get the post thumbnail for the page ID size thumbnail. So But if you use that, you have to use the echo function as well. So for now, let's just use the post thumbnail. You may be thinking to yourself, well, why would you use the post thumbnail versus get the post thumbnail versus whatever? Okay, why use the get version, echo get version versus the just regular the version? And my answer is, when it comes to the functions file and how you write your syntax in the functions file, you write your syntax a little bit differently, or at least I have found that you do. And so this is where when you are using echo statements like this, you want to use the get version of the functions, and the get versions of the functions have a little bit more elaborate argument systems, right? I haven't delved into all of them, but that's where you're going to want to use different get. So get the thumbnail, because if you're using a return or an echo statement to do that, you have to use the get version. Does that make sense? So for right now, oh, and I'm not sure if some of the get versions don't write certain tags in, like the versions of the functions, like on the excerpt one. But nonetheless, now what I should have an A tag around my featured image. Okay. So it links to the posting. But still, this is where, what if I wanted that floated to the left over here, right? And let's see if I put it in the correct spot. So yeah, so there's the byline. I want it to float before the excerpt. So this is where then some of you have been struggling with, I've already written my own class names, right? How do I get my class names written into the HTML that WordPress kicks out? And my answer is pick and choose your battles, right? It is easier to see what class names WordPress kicks out for elements and use those class names in your CSS versus you've created a template and you've been using classes that you've written and you want to have WordPress honor that class in your HTML. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to inspect this image. And currently then, on this image, we have class, attachment thumbnail, size thumbnail, WP post image. Okay. So we can use any one of those class names then to do what we want, right? So WP post image, attachment thumbnail, there's also, if we want to use the medium version or the large version or the full version, okay? So basically then if I wanted to, in my CSS, say, so here I have content image size large, and I put a class on it. If I want to say content image, go back here and choose attachment thumbnail, size thumbnail, WP post image. I'm going to actually use, to be consistent, size thumbnail. because anywhere I have a thumbnail image, thumbnails typically are going to be floated left, margin right. Okay. Do a margin bottom on there if I wanted to. But yeah, that's small right there. Again, this is where if and when I wanted to make things look a little prettier, meaning if I if I wanted to have this byline up at top, right, I would basically make my small tags block level, possibly. So then the featured image, I also could put some style on the rollover of the image to make the border yellow, etc. I don't really care about that in terms of what I'm doing for my demo, because I have this demo like that. Again, I don't want to waste valuable class time and or demo time going in and futzing with my CSS that, you know, right? But anyhow, this is where I would, you know, in my CSS say, because it's in the content element, it's an image tag with class size thumbnail, right? All right, so I may as well, let's see what I have in the rest of this lecture. So, I didn't do an article in the demo beforehand, so make sure you have an article around each of the chunks of elements. The permalink, right? So make sure you have the permalink to link to the posting on the thumbnail. Read more links, we already put the read more links in there. Extra step, if you want to, customize your single posting template as well, okay? So this is where if you don't have in your single posting template the byline just yet, you can go ahead and put post it on the date, the time, the author, the category. And as well, what I like to do is on my, for instance, so if we go to back to this article right here, notice that the first image up top here is the featured image, right? Then the rest of the images are images that I've put into the content editor. So if I edit this post, then the first image that you see inside the content editor is this one, and not the one of the laptop with the Google image in it. So this is where I like to, at the top of my single postings on my business blog, I like to then use the featured image. And so I'm going to do the same thing as I did in index PHP, where I am using the post thumbnail, right? Except for I am going to use then size large. So if we now go to this one, we should see the large featured image up at the top. Right? So that's kind of how I use the featured image functionality. Now, let's say, so again, if we look at in our uploads folder on our remote server, we should see then that here is the original featured image that we uploaded. WordPress then, because it was a 1024 by 768, oh, look at that. It is making the different, I wonder, that's new, right? Again, it's making the large size, the thumbnail size, the medium size, and then a portrait size. I don't understand what's going on here. Like, it's taking that 768 and turning it portrait, and yeah, I don't understand what's going on there. But let's say you want to utilize more options than that. For instance, in my business theme, then, in the recent months, I've done some updates on my theme to try to make my business site look a little bit better. And I've used some of these icons, okay? So these icons right there are not, in other words, if I look at my typical thumbnail size image, this is my thumbnail size, okay? This is a size that I'm calling icon. So if I want to use, in other words, if I go to this page, graphic design, and edit this page, I have uploaded and used this as a featured image, but I want to pull it as an icon size. In other words, I want to make a custom size and use that custom size. So if you feel limited by anywhere down the road, the default thumbnail, medium, large, or original size images, you can then, in your functions file, add an image size. Okay. So this is not in my lecture page. So you can make custom image sizes that are cropped a certain way, right? Sized a certain way. Okay. So add image size, custom size, 220 by 180, 220 by 180 pixels tall, soft, proportional, crop mode. 220 by 180 true, hard crop mode. I think the hard crop mode is where it will crop inside the image, where the soft crop mode will crop outside the parameters of the image. Just like on a thumbnail image, sometimes you don't see the whole image. That's hard crop mode from what I know in my head. I may or may not be wrong, right? You can crop it 220, 220 from left and top, hard crop left top, right? So basically then what I've done in my functions file for my business theme, and I think I did this probably, this one in particular, less than a month ago, right? But I first discovered this when I was doing stuff on that Real Self website. But if I add image size icon, then what I've done for my page templates is in my functions file, which, did you see how I went to my file listing to go back to my functions file, even though I was in my functions file? Smart. So in this get child pages function, I added then get the post thumbnail. So this is where I have to use the get version of the function because I am using the child image in an echo function. Okay, so this is where I'm saying get the post thumbnail for the post ID sized icon. So I'm getting using that new icon size. Now, to do so, though, again, if I have ever already uploaded files to my site, and then I decided, you know what, I want to use a new size, okay? So anything that I have uploaded previously, okay, let's actually just do this. Let's check it out. So if I then do this, don't harass me, but I am going to as a demo, put this in my functions file here, right? And so now, if I want this featured image that I just uploaded, currently does not have an icon size, a 140 by 140 size. So how now might I get it to make an icon size? Well, I have two options. One, upload the file again, right? And then use that new version of the file. Or that's where the plugin regenerate thumbnails. I'd want to activate that. And now if I, under Tools, go to Regenerate Thumbnails, and I want to regenerate all thumbnails, that featured image was successfully resized. So because I made a new size, there it is that I can use now. Okay. So then if I wanted to change, right, this to icon, I've been using this correct demo, haven't I? Just the demo that I've been using, right? Or index, index. Oh, that's right. I don't have a, I didn't make a style for icon. Yeah, so that's why it's not. It's grabbing the new size. There it is, size icon. There we go. Right? So, yeah, maybe I should add custom sizes into this lecture too. Because we seem to be getting through that with enough time. So, you should then add a featured image. I'm not going to go and add them to all my postings, right? But let's take a look at the assignment now for this week's assignment. Creating a custom post feed with featured images. You are going to need to set your blog feed to occupy a page in your site. If you have not done so already, take the content function out of the loop within the index file, replace it with the excerpt or get the excerpt function. Make sure that you place content in your excerpt field. Create a byline or date line with the time, the author, and category to it. Add theme support for post thumbnails to your functions.php file. Upload a featured image to your media library. Place the post thumbnail function within your loop. In your index.php file, go ahead and style your post thumbnail. Add an article tag around your feed objects to prevent the great collapse. Meaning, you know how when you don't see the background, when you have images floated in the parent element, you don't see a background, that's called the great collapse. Add a permalink to your post thumbnail and create a read more link. Add the byline to your single.php. I should say add the featured image to your single.php in large size, but I'll leave that alone for right now. So we did all of this today. We had already done a little bit of it previously, like the article stuff with the ID and that kind of stuff. But make sure that your loop now contains all this information in it. An article tag or something, a wrapper around each one of these with an ID, an H2 that has a permalink, a byline that has author, time, category, the thumbnail that then links to get the excerpt or the excerpts, permalink, full story, etc. So, again, for your guys' convenience or your learning objectives, not sure exactly the phrase I should be using, but I am then going to take, let's make sure I saved everything. Save. I am going to, just like I have been each week, section 1 theme. Upload that to GitHub. And very importantly, labeling my commit with the proper name. How many of you on your GitHub did I comment, don't forget to use the proper assignment name when you commit? Yeah. Please do that. So when I'm looking at your GitHub, I, don't have to spend hours trying to hunt down things in a certain folder with a certain, make it easy on me, Kristen, please. It changes. So now that should be, how many of you have been going to the GitHub, my GitHub repository for this section or the other section to kind of see what we did in class. Anybody? Again, you can get to it by simply going to my client staging area, WEB170. You can see the prototype that we're working on. You can see the repository as we're working on it. And it should update there shortly. Creating, there it is, creating custom post feed. Great. So if we go to single.php, there is what we did on single, and on index.php, here's what we did on index.php. So hopefully that helps. Again, no copying and pasting from my GitHub. Write it out your damn self. All right. What is going on there?